Hi, welcome back. I'm Chris Hitchens, your college admissions coach, member of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. And in this session, we're going to talk about net price calculators. We're going to talk about misinformation floating around there about the college application process, and then we're going to end up with viewer mailbag. We're just going to jump right in. Last show, we talked about the estimated family contribution. So we're going through all the steps of the college admission process. I hear all the time parents come up to me and say, we just don't know where to start. So I decided we're going to start at the beginning. And last show, the estimated family contribution and ways to calculate that. We're setting a budget. And this episode, we're going to talk about the net price calculators and how to use net price calculators and how to recognize net price calculators that aren't worth using at all. So when we deal with a budget, we're making our list of schools, and there's a lot of schools we rule out almost automatically. Those schools are just too expensive. So maybe we rule out Carnegie Mellon or Duke University. Well, I wouldn't rule them out yet. Not so fast. There are reasons why smaller schools can be much more generous than state schools. And we're going to use the net price calculator to find these generous schools. So what's the net price calculator? In 2008, the government mandated that colleges needed to place a net price calculator on their website. And what this is supposed to do is tell the families what they can expect to pay for their student to go to this university for 1 year, tuition, room, and board. There were some issues. A number of colleges balked. They didn't want to put a net price calculator on their website because college tuition is a lot like airline seat prices. They're secret. Every passenger pays a different price. And same thing with the colleges, every student pays a different price. And a number of schools, more selective schools, private schools, they don't want to advertise their prices. They want to make individual offers to individual students. But one thing I'm going to warn you about is a net price calculator that's not worth using. So if I go to a college website and I see a net price calculator and it asks me about 6 questions, that net price calculator is not going to be accurate at all. It's not worth using. Or also, if it has a green binder in the top corner of the net price calculator, that means it is the government's net price calculator because the college is being slow in implementing or developing their own net price calculator. So, a net price calculator on a college website. So I'll go to Pitt, I'll go to Penn State, I'll go to Carnegie Mellon, I'll go to Slippery Rock and find their net price calculator. It should ask over 20 questions about the student, about the family, about their grades, their SAT scores, their home situation, how many people in the family, the parent's income, the student's income. They'll ask about savings, grades, again, SAT scores. So they'll ask a number of questions to give you a reasonable estimate of what you can expect to pay. And that, along with your EFC, can kind of sort of round out your budgeting process. All right, so I don't recommend parents allowing students just to send out applications to any school that they want to. Truly, starting the budgeting process actually earlier is the better. Because one thing you can do with the net price calculator, especially if you start early, you can find out what the college expects you to pay for a year of tuition, room, and board. But another thing you can do is play with the numbers a little bit and find out, say if my student gains 40 points on the SAT, that's definitely possible to put them in another category for more generous financial aid. And this is where SAT prep can really pay off. And we get a much optimistic view and say if we do SAT prep, gain 40 points, and get into a new category of much more financial aid, so that money you spend on SAT prep or the time spent on SAT prep truly pays off. Same thing with grade point average. I hear all the time, parents tell me, my student wants to go to this expensive school. They don't want to go to a state school. Now in Western Pennsylvania, we're really lucky. We have a number of excellent state schools, but other parts of the country aren't so lucky. So students, maybe in other parts of the country, or maybe Pennsylvania, they don't want to go to a state school. They want to go to an elite school. And the parents say, well, we don't have $70,000 to spend on college each year for you. And then you have a brother and or sister, and we're going to run into issues. So what I tell them is we're going to run the numbers. We're going to budget. Everything has a budget. We're going to talk about budgets later on in the show when we talk about misinformation. So we're going to budget. How much is the family going to contribute? Loans, what are you comfortable with loans? And if this student wants to go to this expensive college, these are the SAT scores and GPA goals or thresholds they have to meet to make them eligible for a greater amount of financial aid. So the student truly has to be a contributor. We don't let the students make all decisions in this type of transaction. So we have our EFC, tells us how much we are expected to contribute each year to the student's college. We have our net price calculators. It tells us what each individual college expects us to pay them, and this is how we start forming our budget, and this is how we start forming our plan. Come back, and we're going to talk about misinformation, where it comes from, who's giving it, what to believe, what not to believe, maybe a couple myths, and in our next show, we're going to talk about different types of financial aid. So we're going to get educated on the different types of financial aid. EFC, net price calculator, different types of financial aid, and we're going to get this process rolling. Come on back.
And now, another adventure with Savings Man.
Look, honey, it's my Social Security statement.
Oh, gosh, how are we going to retire on that?
Never fear, young savers.
It's Savings Man.
You need to save more. You'll need this.
Oh, the ballpark estimate worksheet.
That's right. Get it at choosetosave.org and find out how much you'll need to save for your future.
Gee, thanks, Savings Man.
No, thank you.
So visit choosetosave.org and stay tuned for more Savings Man.
Hi, Bethel Park. Uncle Al speaking. I'm asking you to come help us behind the scenes at BP TV. We're looking for some proud Bethel Park residents to help us make the shows that you want to watch. For more information, contact Station Director Dave Cable, and we will see you behind the cameras at BP TV.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Chris Hitchens, your college admissions coach, member of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. In the first segment, we talked about net price calculators, and next month we're going to talk about financial aid. In this segment, we're going to talk about misinformation. Misinformation about the college application process is rampant. I get it constantly. Parents tell me one thing, and I just wonder, where did you get this information? And it sounds like it's either coming from neighbors, coming from the internet, or coming from mishearing a school counselor or misinterpreting what the school counselor is telling them. So different types of misinformation. One type of misinformation isn't really truly misinformation, but it involves sticker price. And like I mentioned in the first segment, sometimes we rule out colleges because we feel they're going to be too expensive. And so my student, has a 4.0 grade point average, has wonderful SAT scores, but we don't have that much money saved to go to a more selective school, a more expensive school. So we rule out Carnegie Mellon or schools such as that, small private colleges, which my student may love. So right away at the beginning of the process, I believe that can be a mistake. Reason why: Carnegie Mellon's tuition, room and board, is about $66,000 a year, which seems excessive. The average freshman who's receiving aid pays about half that, about $33,000 a year, which is what they would pay to go to Pitt. Duke University, I know it's not in our 3-hour radius, but Duke University is still about $66,000 a year. The average freshman who's receiving aid to go to Duke University is paying about $21,000 a year. So we don't know if we can afford to go there until we run our own numbers, and that's where the EFC and the net price calculator come in. So I'm saying, when we start our college list, this is a brainstorming exercise. So we're going to list colleges that we feel may fit. We're not going to eliminate any just yet. Now, later down the road, we realize SAT scores, grade point averages aren't going to get us enough financial aid. That's perfectly fine. We just cross them off our list. So don't let sticker price dissuade you, at least right away. Another one. This is a big one. When we fill out the FAFSA form, the FAFSA tells us to only consider the parent if they're split up, the parent who the child lives with 51% of the time. Not who claims them on their income tax form, but really who's supporting them 51% of the time, or who they live with over 50% of the time. And sometimes families decide, well, one child has been living with one parent who's been supporting them, but they realize the other parent, maybe it could be the mother or father, don't make a lot of money, and if we let them live with them or claim to live with them, it can really lower our EFC, our family contribution. All right, this is a dangerous way to try to manipulate the system. It's not that simple. First of all, the FAFSA form is going to ask you who the child has lived with for the past 12 months. So unless they have actually physically lived with this other parent, custody has nothing to do with it. For the past 12 months, it's going to raise red flags. And then once the student enters college and they're not even living at home anymore, they're going to ask you who has been financially supporting the student most, which parent. And the whole process goes out the window. So I've heard and seen a number of ways the system people have tried to manipulate the system. None of them have been successful. There's a number of ways people have tried to emancipate students. It's a longer discussion, but these things just don't come out because the colleges start to ask questions, normal questions. So, next, other people's opinions about colleges. I get this a lot. Parents will be really hot on a college and say, we really love Slippery Rock. And then they'll talk to a neighbor and they'll say, well, you know what, my niece didn't like Slippery Rock. I love Slippery Rock. My wife graduated from Slippery Rock. She loves Slippery Rock. But they'll say, well, my friend of mine, their niece didn't have a great experience at Slippery Rock, and they had to drop out and they went to another school. And now this initial parent decides, oh, I don't like Slippery Rock anymore. Talking to your neighbors is no way to choose a college. It's no smart way to choose a college. You need to make your own decisions, do your own investigations, because you're going to hear multitude of different opinions. And most of those opinions are worthless. So that one's one that I'm laughing because that one kind of drives me crazy. Next type of misinformation. It's normal to graduate in 5 years or 6 years. Well, it's common, but it's not normal. Here's the sad part. Only half of the kids who enter college graduate at all. So you can imagine how much money they just wasted on tuition, room and board, and they weren't in the workforce. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. Only 33% of the students who enter college graduate in 4 years. This 4 years should be your goal. This is why planning counts. Choosing the right college, finding a place where your child's going to be successful and happy. Get them out in 4 years. You don't have your student graduate in 4 years unless there's extenuating circumstances. There could be financial circumstances, health circumstances. Sometimes they're in a 5-year program. But if they're supposed to be in a program and graduate in 5 years, they need to get out in, they're in a program that they should graduate in 4 years, they should get out in 4 years. And they'll talk to counselors and say, oh, no. A lot of students do 5 years. You just threw away $50,000 that you will never get back. 5 years, unless there's extenuating circumstances, should not be a viable option. Come on back. We're going to talk a little bit more about some information and then jump into the viewer mailbag. So we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Hey, it's Christine from Bethel Park Library. I want to tell you about a great fundraiser we have going on. You can take home a print of this cute sloth, painted by local artist Maria Prasic, was inspired by Vivian, the sloth that lives at the National Aviary. The original painting will be housed at the Bethel Park Library forevermore, but you can own a 16 by 20 print for $50. You can purchase it at the Bethel Park Public Library or through the library's website at bethelparklibrary.org.
I've shown an interest in making home movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore, it's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, but right here is everything that you need in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks, like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here, like it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and let Dave be your guide.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Chris Hitchens, your college admissions coach, member of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. We're going to continue on with misinformation about the college admissions process, and then we're going to jump into the viewer mailbag. So next on the misinformation is a lot of times parents don't believe they need outside help with the decision-making process. What do I mean by outside help? Well, I truly believe finding a financial advisor can be, and earlier the better, can be a huge help in the process. There are a number of different savings plans. There's the 529 plan, but there's other types of financial options you may not be aware of. and a lot of financial counselors, I'm not a financial advisor myself, but a lot of financial advisors will offer a free consultation. And now keep in mind, these financial advisors would like to keep your business for a long period of time, so they're not going to try to oversell you on things that don't fit your situation. So talking to them early, you'd be surprised. Now, let's say you're students in middle school or high school and you have a windfall of cash, or you have a lot of money saved up in your savings account or your checking account. This is going to affect the amount of money the colleges are going to expect you to pay. And there may be financial solutions to distributing this money or moving this money around. I mean, truly ethical ways to lower your financial contribution. And so this is where a financial planner may come into play. You may want to work with a college planner. You may want to work with an essay coach. And you'd be surprised, the amount of money you spend with experts can save you multitudes of money down the road. So that is just a thought. This one deals with high school athletes. Only about 2% of Western Pennsylvania athletes are recruited by colleges. That's only 2%. And this 2% is the 2% of all the students who could play somewhere in college. And kids are always told, well, if you're good enough, the colleges will find you. And that is absolutely not true. That is misinformation. If you are in the 2% elite athlete category, the colleges will find you. The coaches will find you. If you're in that 98%, where you have the ability to play in college and you want to play in college, the colleges are not going to come looking for you. They don't have the resources, they don't have the budget, they don't have the time. And this is where the family, student, the parents have to take the initiative and go find these athletic programs. Same thing goes with cheerleading and majorettes and drama and choir and art programs. The high school students and the families have to go and make the initial contact to these colleges. These college coaches want you. They need you to contact them. They expect you to contact them. And so just because you may be a wonderful athlete and there could be a place for you to college to play and participate, don't expect the colleges to come find you. You need to take the initiative, and there's ways to do it, and the colleges and the coaches expect that. Students running the process. All right, I know families want to keep students happy. They want their dreams to come true. But the college process is budgeted. And so I don't advise families allowing the students to run this process. I'm not going to allow a 15, 16, 17-year-old student to coordinate a $250,000 business transaction. And that's what a college admissions process is. So they need help. I want to keep them happy. If you can't find a college where your student is going to be happy and that a family can afford, honestly, I truly believe you probably have not looked hard enough at enough colleges. And so I'm not talking about looking at 2 colleges and 3 colleges or 4 colleges or 5 colleges. I know my student doesn't want to go to a state school. They want to go to this private school. They want to be in a warmer climate. They want to go to a small private school, and this is $70,000. We can't afford that. You just haven't looked. There's a chance you just haven't looked hard enough. So we need to expand. So if you're not looking to go to one of our state schools, which are excellent, by the way, then you need to make a list. Not 10 schools, not 20 schools, not 30 schools, maybe 40 schools. If you're an athlete, maybe 50 schools, maybe 60 schools, maybe 70 schools. I'm not joking. And you will find a place, and then you're going to learn all you can about them. This is the student's job. And then you're going to go visit the campuses. And then you're going to run your EFC and your net price calculator. You will find a place. But allowing the student to make these decisions, this is where the student loan crisis originates from. I want to keep them happy. We're going to take out loans and worry about it later. This is an issue. So planning really can head off a number of problems down the road. Another one is kind of a warning, and that is dipping into retirement savings to help pay for the student's college education. This is a big no. If you ever work with a financial planner, they'll tell you the same thing. This is a big I don't recommend it. Well, I wish I could say I forbid it. I can't forbid it, but I certainly don't recommend it. Do not dip into your retirement savings to pay for a college education. There are so many different ways to pay for college educations, and there's so many different variations of college educations out there. Find a way to fit your budget. Everything is budgeted. We don't go out to an expensive restaurant each and every night. Why? Because it's not in our budget. We don't own, well, most of us don't own, I certainly don't, own a $5 million house. Why? That's not in my housing budget. We don't go to a trip to Europe every year. Why not? It's not budgeted. Weddings coming up, here's a certain amount. It's in the budget. Same thing with the college education process. It has to fit the family's budget. We need to plan ahead. I want to know how much that student is going to owe in loans when they graduate, before they even start. What am I comfortable with? Am I comfortable with $10,000? Maybe. Am I comfortable with $20,000? Probably not that bad. Average is in the high 30s. That's the price of a new car. Am I comfortable owing $35,000, $36,000, $37,000 at the end of my college career? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. So it all depends on planning, but we should know these numbers even before the process starts. It looks like we're not going to have time to get to the viewer mailbag. Come back in our next session. We're going to talk about the next step in the college navigation process, planning for college, and that is learning about different types of financial aid. Also, I'm going to throw this into the mix. Parents come up to me all the time, say, I don't know where to start. I can't get my student motivated to start the process. I can't talk to them. They don't know what they want to do. I'm just lost. All right, here's what you do. You get a pad and paper, and you sit down with them. You start making lists of colleges, as many as you can think of. Start with Pitt, Penn State, Carnegie Mellon, Slippery Rock, Cal U, Robert Morris. Go down the list and get as many colleges as you can think of. And then start investigating those colleges. Go on their website. Look how much each one costs. Then run your EFC through the FAFSA forecaster. Then have the students go onto the net price calculators and run the numbers and see which ones fit into the family budget. That's how you start. So again, don't let the student run the process. Truly, the parents have to dictate what's going to happen and set the timeline and get the process moving along. So again, I'm Chris Hitchens, college admissions coach, member of the Bethel Park Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back.